Welcome back to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper. A senior security official in Baghdad has confirmed to CNN that Iran has deployed 3 Revolutionary Guard units to Iraq to bolster their security forces. Pentagon spokesman Rear Admiral John Kirby would not confirm if the U.S. knew these Iranian fighters were there. Well, then, is the State Department at least speaking with Iran about what they may be doing with their neighbor Iraq?
No, we are not talking to the Iranians about Iraq. All of Iraq's neighbors, including the Iranians, need to not do things to destabilize the situation even further.
President Obama just spoke this morning about consulting with the U.S.'s international partners about what to do in Iraq. The big question, should Iran be invited to the table? Joining me now is Richard Haass, president of the Council on Foreign Relations and author of the book War of Necessity, War of Choice, a memoir of 2 Iraq wars. Richard, good to see you as always. Could Iran be an effective partner of the U.S. in stopping ISIS in Iraq?
Well, the Iranians are already backing the government in Iraq quite significantly. This potentially has, on the upside, this could slow the ISIS advance. On the other hand, Jake, what it does is even reinforces the sense that this is not an Iraqi feud, if you will, with anybody else, but a Shia-Sunni feud, and it reinforces what's become arguably the biggest fault line in the Middle East.
Take a listen to what President Obama said about these international consultations.
Well, we're in contact with them now, so we'll have a better sense by the end of the weekend after those consultations, and we will be getting a better sense from them of how they might support an effort to bring about the kind of political unity inside of Iraq that bolsters security forces.
Richard, you used to work for the State Department. Who do you think President Obama is consulting with?
Well, he's consulting, I expect, with the Turks, because one of the big players in this entire thing are the Kurds, who are now well on their way to an independent state, carving out the north from Iraq. He's consulting, I expect, with the Saudis, with the United Arab Emirates, obviously some of the European countries. But look, Jake, coming back to your report, I actually think it would make sense for the United States to consult with both Russia and Iran, despite our differences over Syria, despite our differences more broadly. In a sense, what's happened is this fanatical jihadist group has emerged as a bigger challenge to American and Western interests, even than the Assad government in Syria. So there's an argument for putting aside some differences and just seeing whether there is the possibility, at least, however stretched, of some limited collaboration or at least overlap.
How concerned were you when you heard that Shiite leaders, clerical leaders in Iraq are calling for Shiites to take up arms against ISIS?
Concerned for sure, but also not surprised. This is a natural outgrowth of what's happened. If you look at the last 10 or 15 years, a series of moves, in part by the United States, have increased the salience of this divide. The fact that we haven't done much to help in Syria has again increased the intensity of Sunni-Shia differences. Mr. Maliki's entire governance has essentially been a front for Iran and for Shia interests. He hasn't been a national president. So what this is in many ways the culmination or the furtherance of a terribly destructive trend in what's become the most turbulent part of the world.
Richard, what do you think we should do? What would you tell President Obama to do?
I'd give him a couple of things. I would say first we ought to tremendously increase what it is we're doing in Syria to increase the pressure on this group, on this ISIS group, so therefore they wouldn't have the luxury of putting all their efforts against Iraq. We ought to strengthen the Kurds to make sure they're okay. We ought to rethink what it is we're doing in Afghanistan. What we should have learned from this is the mistake of pulling out all U.S. forces from countries under stress. I would be very careful about direct military support, though, for the Iraqi government unless it really changed its colors.
Richard Haass, thank you so much.